So I completed my playthrough of Berserk and the Band of the Hawk on PlayStation 4 almost a year ago, pretty much in May when Rico went back to Japan, and I wanted to make this video. Way back then, I just never had time, as I stated in the previous video. So it's taking up all the footage I saved from there, and it's taking up storage on my PlayStation, and I want to free it up. So I'm going to make a quick video to just kind of wrap up my thoughts about the game really fast, and that way I can get some storage space back. So number one, I think it's a great way to experience the Berserk story if you have never watched it or read the manga. It's a great way to play the game, or a great way to, like I said, to experience the story. The only thing is the game does feel kind of like Dynasty Warriors, and the reason why is because the guys who made, or one of the teams in Dynasty Warriors who made Dynasty Warriors, made Berserk and the Band of the Hawk. So if you've ever played any of those, the game is not difficult at all. It kind of matches with the way Guts, is a murder machine, but I did feel like they could have probably, I said felt like twice. I really felt like they could have made, that's the third time now, they could have made it with different game elements where maybe they might have had some stealth games. Like there's a part in this Berserk storyline where Guts had to use some stealth. And I felt like they could have put those in the game as opposed to just making everything Dynasty Warriors hack and slash everything all day, every day. The equipment part of the game was very boring. I didn't even think about it. So basically the game, you kind of go on autopilot. You don't really have to, put a lot of strategy or thinking about how you play the game. I also wish that the game were multiplayer when they designed it, so we could play it with different people who could have been, Casca and Pippin and any of the other characters. I thought that would have been a good way to go. So aside from that, there's two main takeaways I wanted to say about not necessarily the game, but the story itself. Because all these years I had never really had this thought about Berserk. It just felt like more about this story about a guy who, I don't want to ruin the whole story, but basically a guy who had a troubled childhood, goes through some really bad events in life, and then just seeks out revenge. And for the longest time, that was pretty much my thought on the story. Now, whether or not this was the author's intention, I came up with what I thought Berserk was really about while playing through this game. It kind of opened up my mind to two things about the game. And number one of the main takeaways that I have is that Berserk is actually a story about acceptance and validation. And I've said this oftentimes, that I think validation is probably one of the worst drugs that a human could ever take. And I really believe that this game is a cautionary tale about that, looking for acceptance in others and wanting to get validation from others. And they cap that off later on when when Guts gets like the Berserker armor. I forget what it's really called. But when he gets that, I think that basically the message, and again, whether the author intended this or not, this is what I took away, is I really believe that when Guts gets the Berserker armor, it's another cautionary tale about not letting external factors form your identity. And I really believe that that's really what the story of Berserk is really all about, is about one man, or basically not just one man, but a lot of the characters trying to find their struggle with acceptance and validation, and trying to find and forge their own identities. That's what playing this game helped me see that. After all these years of having read the manga and watching the anime, like these things have finally, I'm playing the game and finally kind of given me this different perspective on the game, and I'm appreciative of the game, despite the fact that I'll probably never play Berserk and Band of the Hawk again. Not that it's a terrible game, but there's so many other games that I want to play, and as much as I'd like to go through and complete and grab all the trophies, I think it's highly unlikely I'll go back and play this game. But like I said at the beginning, it's a great way to experience a story if you've never watched or read Berserk. So there's my thoughts on that. We'll see you in the next video.